Hey guys, welcome back. Sports with Mono and Mono. It's 3/13/19. Steve, welcome back.
Thank you, James. And hello, everybody. We've got a lot to talk about today.
We sure,
Big flurry of NFL free agency, trades,
sure is.
exciting stuff.
We've been waiting for this one. Free agency market just opened, and so what's the big headline? OBJ
OBJ.
off to Cleveland.
Absolutely. We got wind of that last night. And I just telling you flat out, my first reaction was the Giants did a great job getting rid of him.
And I feel the same way. Like we talked about this before. I would have sent him packing when he did the urinating touchdown celebration.
Right. We will not diminish this guy's talent.
Of course not.
Let's say that flat out.
We would not diminish it one iota. He's very talented, but
He is a cancer, and you have to get rid of the cancer. And to get a first,
yep.
the 17th pick, to get a third, and Jabril Peppers, they lost Landon Collins. Peppers, you know,
Well, we'll talk about Landon Collins because what
well,
the Washington Redskins are paying this guy.
yeah.
We watched him play every Sunday, and he's not worth $45 million or whatever the hell they're guaranteed.
He's not a bad football player. Let's say that.
Okay, but
if you want to pay him that kind of dough, bye-bye.
Nope.
Take care. See you later.
Yep.
Thanks for your business.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
And I just actually talked to one of my good friends, Greg Babayan. He's a Redskin fan. He gets it. They overpaid for him, and he's trying to defend it. Salary cap and string it. I said, listen, I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
You got him? Good. Good luck.
All right.
That's great. Move on. But back to OBJ. We remember we have our brother Tom is, kind of close advisor to the show, if you will. And I remember the phone call we had the night that the Giants drafted Odell Beckham. The Cowboys drafted, or I think the Giants drafted right before the Cowboys.
And the Cowboys got Zach Martin.
Right, and Tom, you, and me were all in on Zach Martin, right? And the Giants select Odell Beckham, wide receiver, LSU. But nobody really knew of his talent level, right? But we're talking about Odell the person here. We're talking about being a teammate. We're talking about all in as a New York Giant. And let's be real. It's all about Odell.
Yep.
And you cannot have this. And, my other observation on this is when Gettleman took over, I didn't know Dave Gettleman from anything. I knew he was, Carolina's GM prior.
Didn't have a big resume.
But once I heard the first interview with him, in my mind I was like, he's getting rid of this guy as soon as he could possibly get rid of him. And he waited and waited, and obviously they gave him the big contract. They had to, but I'm telling you, I thought they should have traded him last year. I didn't think his value was going to be as equal as it is now.
And I feel the same way. Listen, I always thought the guy was talented, but you're right. You used the word cancer on a football team. No question about it. He was all about himself. But they opened the vault, and it was funny because they saw Gettleman talk last week or 2 weeks ago at the combine saying we didn't sign him to trade him.
Right.
Yes, you did.
Absolutely.
And he had it in his mind the whole time. And look, they got a first-round pick, so the Giants got two.
It's a good trade for both teams.
Yeah.
Cleveland is, this guy Dorsey, GM. Listen, it's a good trade for both sides. You get rid of the cancer, let him go to Cleveland. The mistake by the lake, great. Pay him, you're going to inherit this contract.
Good.
He can only help this team. The Browns obviously are making moves. They've been in so bad for so long. It's a good trade for both sides. The first thing I thought, too, funny for our older Giant fans, is how, the Giants got fleeced by the Cowboys. Randy White for Craig Morton, right? Back in the day. I think this is a good trade for the New York Giants.
Yeah.
They now have 2 first-round picks, and now I want to lead to what are they going to do with this? Well, I don't think they're all in on Haskins then. Because Eli's coming back, they got so many holes they got to
Well, there's
fix.
something with this.
And I just wanted to throw that out.
And they're talking about, because the Giants have to pay Eli a $5 million bonus if he's on the roster after next week. So
Okay.
I think they're still in on Haskins. I still think they're going to take him. But that's great. 2 first-round picks.
They can now. So there's 2 schools of thought here. They can take Haskins, and then you have a 17th overall pick. Or do they have a hard-on for Tua or this Justin Herbert next year? Do they then take a stud? They got a lot of holes on defense. Obviously, the offensive line is an issue with the Giants.
How about this guy? How about this? I'll throw this out there. This kid, Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they turn it around and pick him up or actually move down from 17 and take Lock. And I wouldn't be shocked at that.
Well, what's your reasoning on Lock?
I like him. I've watched him play a few times. He does have a cannon. He's got an Elway arm, this guy.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be shocked.
Maybe they pick him with the 17th pick, and then
if he's still around, I don't think he's going to be around by then. 17, I think he's that talented.
Right. So again, to our audience, I think for the Giants, there's 2 scenarios. Either they're all in on Haskins or they're not, and if they're not, that's okay, I think.
But the move would...
You can't make a mistake on this franchise. The heir apparent to Eli, so they have to be absolutely certain. Number one. And
but the OBJ trade wasn't based on whether they're all in on Haskins.
No,
it
was.
They had the number 6 pick anyway. He's going to be there, and they can take him.
Right.
But this is somebody else, and maybe they pick up a little stud wide receiver that we don't know about yet. So.
And I'm just guessing here, but I would imagine Dave Gettleman was sitting in his office, and the phone rang. Mr. Gettleman, Mr. Dorsey from Cleveland is calling. Hi. How you doing? Good. Listen, we want Odell. Okay. What are you giving me? Done.
Okay, well,
that conversation probably lasted 5 minutes.
Right, but the tie-in there. He's best buddies with this Jarvis Landry.
That was the other thing. Good point, James.
So I'm going to tell you this. I mean, I must say, and I told you, I wasn't a buyer on this Baker Mayfield initially.
Right.
But I think he actually showed me a little more than I thought in his rookie season.
I'm a fan of Baker.
They signed Sheldon Richardson, and
listen,
they're loading up. I mean,
they actually loaded up so much they may be the favorites to maybe win that division.
But I like what they've done,
right.
And so forth. So. Listen, I think it was a good trade for both teams, and let's see what we do.
Yeah. But that's a good point you made about Beckham going to Cleveland with the Landry connection. They were both teammates at LSU.
Yes, they
were.
And
it turns out the receivers coach, I think, was their coach at LSU too. So obviously they were in Dorsey's ear saying,
I mean, they got Nick Chubb, he's a good player.
And again, I mean, Cleveland's been so bad for so long.
Cleveland's Cleveland.
You have to, at some point, right the ship, and if you have all this capital and draft picks.
But they haven't made this kind of a move to say to their fans to say,
yeah.
I know you're tired of this. You've
right.
seen this for 45 years. Enough is enough. So,
right. So
yeah, I think they certainly move up. In the AFC.
Oh, no doubt.
So
yeah. So being that we're talking Cleveland for that division, let's switch gears to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization and the fact that they let 2 supremely talented individuals leave their organization and not get really anything back for one Antonio Brown and one Le'Veon Bell.
Okay, so
your thoughts?
Let me give you my thoughts here. First of all, if you've been part of our show for the past year and a half, my feelings on Bell. He left $14 million on the table.
That he'll never get back.
He'll never get back. And Brown, these were 2 cancers. We just talked about Odell Beckham being a cancer. They had 2 of them.
I don't think...
They had 2 of them.
I'm glad you said that.
So let me just finish this thought. So, Bell holds out for $14 million, and Brown they ship to L.A., right? So now it's the Silver and Brown, I guess. Is that what they're going to go with?
Right.
And Bell didn't get the money that I know he was expecting to get. And I'm...
No, he did not.
which I'm shocked. And Steve and I talked about this before the show. The Jets gave $51 million guaranteed to C.J. Mosley, and they only guaranteed 35. And we talk about only guaranteed. It's kind of silly to even talk about that, but
you could throw any number out there,
but not. I mean, no way. But we talked about this last week. We thought he was going to the Jets, right? Jets had the cap space. They had the money. They need somebody behind Darnold,
and the need.
So they filled their hole. Is James Conner Le'Veon Bell? I don't know. I got to give him credit. He did a pretty solid player.
Pretty good back,
right? And wide receivers, yeah, you can find them. You can get a Beckham in a draft and so forth and replace Brown. But he was a cancer. I mean, 9 years, yes, his numbers are not in dispute, but so, let's look at the Steelers. They had both of them for 8 years or 6 years with Bell and 9 with Brown. They didn't win anything. So I think it was a good move for Pittsburgh. Let these guys walk, fill those holes, and see what you can do in the draft.
All right, so here's my argument on the Antonio Brown situation. Number one, I've been researching a little bit on this. Obviously, he's been in the news. He's been a cancer, quote unquote, for last year. However, if you do look at the numbers, this guy has been vastly underpaid for the last 4 years.
Okay.
And the scenario is basically, you get your signing bonus, you get all this money up front. That's the guaranteed. However, his production is unmatched for the current crop of receivers.
I agree, but you signed a contract 4 years ago. You live by it.
I get that, but then when you have a Mike Wallace signed with the Dolphins 3 years ago, whatever it was, 4 years, $60 million. What do you think Antonio Brown's doing? He's looking, saying, "Are you kidding me?"
I know, but can we really base this on certain teams trying to fill a void and overpaying for guys that are,
listen,
not that kind of...
The Steelers historically have always played hardball, from the James Harrisons of the world and so on and so forth.
It's the Rooney Rule.
All right. So the point is, I kind of think Antonio Brown is deserving, obviously, of this money, but his agent is Drew Rosenhaus, who's one of the,
hard-nosed guys.
Hard-nosed. I was going to use the word sleaze, but...
Well, you could use that, too.
But that's his job, right?
That's right.
So the point being is...
Boris is no choir boy
Brown wanted out of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wanted him out. The cancer, obviously, is relevant in that conversation. But to get a third and a fifth round pick back from the Raiders for really nothing, I mean, you get nothing back for letting him go out the door. Now we're talking about Le'Veon Bell going to the Jets because he's signing with the Jets. If I remember this correctly, I think the Steelers wrote a fifth round compensatory pick. You're not getting back anything, man. And I don't know.
But they knew that. They cut ties with the cancer. The tumors are cut out.
I get it. But these are two very, very good football players. So,
but remember, Brown's, it's just 9 years. How many years you got?
Listen, the Raiders are all in on him for 2 years. I mean, he got a 3-year extension or something, but he's 30. Don't get me wrong. But I am curious to actually, obviously we'll monitor this. If he, has the production level that he will have with Derek Carr now thrown to him.
Which is going to be a lot.
But I'm torn on that. And again, my point being on Antonio Brown was I bought into the cancer thing. But when I started researching a bit, he's been underpaid, man. He's been underpaid.
Okay. And
for the production he had, once again, I mean, all our fans know out there, all NFL fans know, this guy was money. Money. 15 touchdowns a year, all your fantasy guys, Antonio Brown is the man.
And if you look, with Bell, the same kind of thing. His production, he's got more average yards gained than Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, he does. He has some very impressive
His numbers
stats.
are very impressive.
He does.
But he takes some time off every year. He takes 4 games off a year.
I think...
at least Brown came to work every Sunday.
Yeah, but you know what? The Jets had to sign him. So, again...
We saw that coming.
Let's see if this guy is a bulldog and actually takes pride in his his work ethic.
Or if he falls into the,
which very well may be the case. He got his money, and again, I think it's retarded that he sat out a year, passed up $14 million, and signs for less. And then what gave a red flag on that was when free agency opened, 48 hours ago or something. If he was going to get a blockbuster offer, like blow me away offer,
it would have been on the table.
It would have been on the table 2 weeks ago,
right.
And at 12 o'clock midnight, stroke of the pen, signs that.
But what that means is people are questioning whether this guy is.
That's exactly
do
what
we
it
need
means.
to take cancer on?
But now the Jets had to make that move too. I think they were going to offer. But again, my point being is, if another team really wanted him, they would have blown away with an offer. So that gets to this. I wanted to bring up Anthony Barr. So the Jets had a bad PR day yesterday.
Yep.
I don't know what Anthony Barr is thinking. You're going to commit to a franchise and say I'm signing, and all of a sudden what?
But then the Vikings ponied up and gave him more money than the Jets were going to give him.
Okay.
I mean,
we're not talking Dick Butkus here. We're not talking Tommy Nobis. We're not talking.
Well, apparently we're not talking C.J. Mosley either, because I got to tell you, I want to touch on this again because that blew me away. That's one of the most shocking contracts ever.
I got to disagree. Listen, I think C.J. Mosley, he's an Alabama kid. He's won probably 2 national championships.
But that kind of money?
He's in his 5th year. He's made the Pro Bowl 4 years. I think he was the captain of Alabama. I get it. When we had spoken earlier, is the money crazy? Of course it is.
But
however,
that's over the top.
He's an upgrade at linebacker.
Okay, it's an upgrade, but $51 million guaranteed?
They have to spend the money one way or the other, so listen.
But look.
And I think he's a character guy,
that's almost $20 million more than they're paying Le'Veon Bell, who's probably the best running back on the market, no question.
I am aware of that.
And that's what just shocks me. It sounds like
it's
the
more
Jets
shocking,
all over.
But I think C.J. Mosley's a player.
I'm not saying he's not a player. I know all about him. Watched him in Alabama. He's a stud.
I know, James. I know.
But, I mean, that kind of money to me is just over the top. So let's see how it pans out.
Right.
Jets got Bell.
Right.
Raiders got Brown.
Yep.
So, if Brown comes up and has this Hall of Fame year and so forth, then bite our tongue. But what are they going to say? Mike Mayock is the GM of the year? I mean...
Well, yeah. Apparently.
Oh, my God.
You got Antonio Brown for a 3rd and a 5th.
Did I just say that?
Yes. That's to be determined, folks.
All right.
So we'll be watching that.
All right, look, and there's going to be more ridiculous signings. They're signing centers and tackles and Trent Flowers out of New England.
Right.
He's a good player, by the way. Actually,
well, he went to his old boss, Patricia. So,
right.
Right.
Well, have a nice time. How many Super Bowls are you going to get? None.
Exactly.
So
enjoy the Motor City.
Right. So free agency is still going on, and we'll see it. But those were the 2 big newses. And OBJ, hey, look, Peppers. We watched him play in high school all the time. I watched him as a running back in high school.
We watched him run for over 300 yards against St. Joe's.
I know, which was hard to swallow, actually. But it happened.
Listen, the kid's coming home. I talked to a friend of mine, and he's saying Peppers isn't all that good, this, that, and the other thing.
What,
I think
he was a throw-in kind of thing?
But my friend mentioned that, Peppers is slow. I said, Peppers is slow?
No, he's not slow.
I don't think so. I think you got your 40 times mixed up with somebody else, okay? So that was a good value add for the Giants.
Right.
Ian Collins is out the door, And the kid's coming home. We watched him, like we said.
And the good thing
he's
with
young, too. I mean, Peppers is what, maybe 25, 24?
Third year in the league?
Third year.
Right.
But I think, back to the point of the Giants, I think they cleaned out the cancer. And now they also, here's another thing about the Giants, which I just found out today. You're going to have a lot of money, man, next year. A lot of money. Like over $100 million. So, Giant fans, be patient. You need to obviously find the heir apparent to Eli at some point.
Well, let's not be hasty and talk about when they had money 2 years ago. They got Olivier Vernon, who, to me, I mean, they finally unloaded him. Somebody took his...
No, they traded him to Cleveland. And they got a scrapper lineman.
But I watched this guy
Good
week
deal.
after week after week. He was the most overpaid player in the National Football League. And I don't understand.
I'm not disputing.
I mean, my goodness. So they're cleaning house. They're getting rid of these bums.
They are. So, Giant fans, good things are coming down the pike,
Yeah,
I think.
and like I said,
Jet fans, too. I mean,
a lot of good stuff going on. So let's move on.
Yep.
What's coming up that's big? March Madness.
March Madness, yes. I'm familiar with that.
Right. So from a college basketball perspective, I mean, if you're a college basketball fan, you got to love this time, right? The tournaments are going on. You know, Big East tonight, St. John's playing DePaul. You know, that's a local thing, but how about the big upset last night? Number 1 Gonzaga gets knocked off by St. Mary's.
And I tell you what, I was watching this with a friend. I have a lot of friends, by the way, my audience. We were watching it, and they played St. Mary's, and I actually think it's a great thing that they got upset. I think
Still going to be a number 1 seed.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing that they got upset because now they got to be all business. And they are, I'm not saying they're going to win it, but you got to always factor in that they'll be maybe Elite 8, probably, most likely.
Look, I mean, as far as we can remember, they seem to at least make the Sweet 16 guaranteed.
Right. With guys you never heard of before, right? And here's the other thing. How about a little shout out to the Fairleigh Dickinson University Knights. That was another game I watched last night. So they beat St. Francis, St. Francis of PA. Yeah. And so as I was watching it with my friend, he's like saying, oh, can you believe FDU is going to the dance? I said, yeah, of course I can believe it because they've been there before.
They've been there before.
And let's be real here.
They're not going. They're
losing by 38 on a Thursday, whether they play at 11:30 in the morning.
Because they're playing a 1 or 2 seed. Correct. So I mean,
but nonetheless, shout out to FDU.
And
congratulations, Iona, another local.
4th straight year, though. By the way,
yeah.
Played in a very weak. I hate to say it, but very weak MAC conference this year.
Who do you consider the greatest Iona player? I'm throwing that out there.
Jeff Ruland?
Of course. Okay. Jeff Ruland, probably in the 80s, right?
Yeah, right? Ended up becoming the coach at some point,
exactly.
Right?
So, congratulations to Iona.
But that's what's so awesome about college basketball is these little teams. And listen, St. Mary's, they can light it up. I mean... They make the tournament almost.
They most certainly do.
Very frequently, too. So
again, getting back to the point about Gonzaga, I just think that it's healthy medicine for them to have lost this. There's really no significance of them winning this ridiculous conference tournament to begin with.
And even if they get knocked out, because like I said, in college basketball, it's when you lose kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
But we know who the 4 number 1 seeds are going to be. And like I said, we talked last week. Who I think is one of my favorites to at least get to the finals is Virginia.
Yes.
And I'm going to stick with that all along. I like Mark Few and I like Tony Bennett.
As of the last show, I'm telling you, I'm not buying Virginia stock.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But look, Zion's coming back for Duke. So they're going to the final.
RJ Barrett. Let me tell you something about Duke. I watched the North Carolina Duke game again, so they had their rematch the other night.
Yeah.
I think this R.J. Barrett is a really good player.
Oh, so is Cam Reddick.
I know, but something about R.J. Barrett really piques my interest in him. I really think Zion, obviously, with all the PR and everything.
Right, but not enough to take him over Zion, but the number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's what's kind of weird about it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to shout out to R.J. Barrett. I'm a big fan of him. And if the Knicks don't win the ping pong ball lottery, okay, he's not a bad...
Oh, the league's going to make sure the Knicks win the ping pong ball.
Right, but he's not a bad consolation prize by any stretch of the imagination.
No, so listen, this is awesome. The tournament's going to wrap up. It's
and the Big East, I think, starts today, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And
let's just hope Coach Boeheim hasn't killed anybody on his
come on.
That's not, throw that out
That's not right, though.
But listen, the only
snowstorm in Syracuse.
The only reason we bring that up is as Monahan brothers, we always were like Boeheim and crying and all his antics and all this other crap.
I know.
But listen, in all seriousness, it was an accident.
Give him a free pass on
he
this,
gets
please.
a free pass, but it might have been a bad joke.
Oh.
But we're trying to lighten the load here on the show.
I know. It's a traumatic thing.
But all kidding aside, it was a tragedy.
But Selection Sunday is this week, and like I said, I think we know, right? It's going to be Gonzaga, Duke, Virginia, and who's going to be the fourth number
North Carolina, possibly.
Hey, they beat Duke twice. I mean, 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
But can't wait. This is awesome.
We love that. It's God.
Some of the automatic bids are a little silly. Some of these teams that are coming in at like 12 and 17 and whatever. But if that's what the rule is.
And I'm feeling actually confident this year on the Warren Buffett. Advertisement. I think I'm going to get a perfect bracket this year, and I can win. What is it? $100 million or something?
It's about $10 billion to 1 that somebody gets a perfect bracket.
Not happening. What a marketing ploy that is.
Oh, that's why he's a genius.
Ed Asner as Warren Buffett.
I can see that. Actually.
He did. He played him in a movie one time. Lou Grant as Warren Buffett.
Oh, goodness. All right, so listen, that's awesome too. So let's move on real quick. Major League Baseball, right? I mean, not much going on. It's spring training kind of thing.
Since our last show, I don't think there's really much of major stuff. I mean, we talked about Harper and the quote-unquote tampering nonsense with Trout.
Right.
I mean, if that's the best they got, then, they're throwing pitches and catching balls and stretching their legs. And before you know it, the birds will be chirping and teams will head north. And, we'll follow Major League Baseball.
We will. We'll come back to that.
Right.
So, let's talk about hockey. And I got to tell you, I mean, from an NHL perspective, that Tampa Bay team, loaded.
Yeah, well,
loaded.
I mentioned that, I think, 2
Woo!
shows ago when the Rangers played Tampa. Right? Listen, do I watch Tampa Bay games? No, because I don't live in Tampa Bay. Right? But when they came to town to play the Rangers, what I did notice is they were 48 and freaking 11 2 weeks ago.
And I think they played the Devils, Islanders, and Rangers and spanked them all, right?
I said on the show a couple weeks ago, I'm holding firm with them. They're my favorite to hoist Lord Stanley.
And what do they got? 1 cup? Didn't
they got 1 cup. Yeah, Martin St. Louis in that year.
Like 12 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, well, John Tortorella was the coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning back then, and that, I mean, come on, how odd was that? Right, it's like Carolina, the Hurricanes winning the freaking Stanley Cup. You just don't associate.
What's more odd than that? The Anaheim Mighty Ducks winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. So,
but that just shows some parity in the NHL over the course of time, right?
And credit the NHL to expand into these markets, right? That are not hockey. You don't think hockey. So, from the original 6 to where they're at now.
Yep.
Listen, it's all about getting the best players on the ice. But I'm buying Tampa stock right now.
I am too.
But let's also not forget about the defending Stanley Cup champions. The Capitals are doing well. Ovechkin is scoring crazy, and really, I think you mentioned this on the show, or I think maybe you and I spoke before a show. But I actually talked to another big hockey fan, friend of mine, Greg Parabati. Hi, Greg, if you're listening. And he made that point about Ovechkin. He's 34. Wayne Gretzky's number of all-time goals is kind of within reach of Ovechkin.
It's absolutely not in reach. It's not in reach.
If he doesn't get hurt, I'm telling you, I think he's about 240 goals shy.
That's 6 seasons.
Okay.
I can't see it happen.
Listen.
And I don't want it to happen, first and foremost, because I want the greatest player ever to be untouchable.
You know what? That's actually for our fan base. We would love to get an email from you on that and your thoughts on that.
Yep.
When he brought that up to my attention, I'm like, you know what? Yeesh. because you got two of the biggest Wayne Gretzky fans on the planet right here, number one. And I don't think it's really out of the realm of possibility.
I think it's
and then we
the
talked
most
about
out of reach record
but then we
in
talked
sports.
about Jaromir Jagr played till he's 46 or 47.
Right, but he scored 9, 10 goals or 12 goals in those last 6 years. That's what
Yeah.
And Ovechkin, listen, I love the guy. He's a sniper. He's awesome, and he's got quite a record and quite a resume. But how many years do you think this guy? I mean,
Listen, I'm hoping cirrhosis of the liver kicks in, so he doesn't break the record. I'm going on record. I don't want him to break the record.
I mean, he's still hungover from the Stanley Cup
that's
celebration.
My point. That's my joke there, right? But I think it's within reach, and
And who was up there? Who was second? Was it Lemieux or Bobby Hull second or something?
I don't have it in front of me
Because
right now.
if there was one guy I thought could approach Gretzky's record, it was Mario Lemieux. And then
no question.
I mean, he was on a roll.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Mario had back problems,
and then he had cancer and
But
Hodgkins and.
Listen, he was a great hockey
Oh
player.
my God, he was Gretzky when
Yeah.
Gretzky retired. I mean, he was.
You know what?
putting up
My
numbers.
guess on the goals, and on this show here, obviously we can look things up in a split second, but we like to go from memory here. That's kind of our forte, part of the allure of our show. I'm gonna Gordie Howe. I mean, obviously Gordie had the record, and Gretzky broke it. Is it out of the realm of possibility that Mario Lemieux is second? I can't say.
Top 5, no question.
without question.
I mean that's Hull.
Yeah, Bobby Hull's got to be up there.
Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe and Lemieux got to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was dominant.
Do you see what we're doing here, audience? We want you to email us with your responses.
Give us the email.
Right?
Sports with mono at gmail.com, and we'll talk about it next week.
That's it.
So, listen, it's getting just like March Madness in hockey. The season's winding down and so forth, and the playoffs. And like we talked about the last time, the playoffs, it's for warriors and warriors only.
Right.
I mean,
And then throw out the
you could possibly have to play 28 games to win the Stanley Cup.
And throw out your shaving kits because they're all wearing beards.
That's right.
Right. And then let's just finish on the NHL. Once again, our segment on notable passings.
Yep.
We want to just mention Harry Howe, ex-Ranger, passed away.
And most of our hockey fans would know who Harry Howe was.
Right.
But was he as prominent as Gordie Howe and those guys? No, but in Ranger lore,
Yes, he is an icon in Ranger lore, and
most games played ever by a New York Ranger.
correct.
Right.
So, and that's it. We just wanted to mention him.
Yeah, big loss for the Ranger family.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. So, rest in peace, Harry.
Yep. So listen, the NBA. Let's not even bother with this for right now.
Let's get more facts on the Russell Westbrook and the fan altercation scenario. We don't want to comment yet here on the Sports with Mono on Mono.
And look, I'll only touch on this for 1 second. I'm not even, believe it or not, I'm actually going to defend Westbrook in this. That some fan comes at him like
a
that.
white fan in the state of Utah?
Okay, I don't want to make it a racial thing, but
I'm not, but those are the facts.
And listen, if somebody pokes you in the chest enough times, you're going to fly off the handle. And
True.
this is the NBA,
And to Westbrook's
I don't
credit,
defend what he said or whatever, but he was provoked to
but
a
to
point.
his credit, he didn't pull the Ron Artest and jump into the stand.
Exactly. So
Right, but I don't know enough facts about it right now.
I saw the footage and stuff, and this guy was making wisecracks, and he lost it. Okay, he lost it because he's sitting 5 feet from these guys. It's the one sport where you can sit 5 feet away from the guys playing on the field,
and that's a worthy debate about the privilege of watching a professional game. You're going in there. You got the kids, you got the father, the kids, the mothers, all that stuff. I mean, obviously, can you needle these players? You stink, this, that, boo, okay, that's within reason.
That's one
But
thing.
I really think it gets personal now, and then the F-bombs, and then they make it personal.
It got ugly.
So,
and look, the Jazz did the right thing. They banned this guy from the arena. And
absolutely.
NBA fined Westbrook $25,000, which is like $5 for you and I.
But we've all been at a professional game, and there's always been, an asshole sitting, behind you, next to you, in front of you. We've all experienced it. So, we're just talking about it.
That's enough for the NBA. But just real quick, and we talked about this before, but you're right. Kyrie Irving, he wants out of Boston, and I didn't think so, but I'm convinced now.
Yeah.
He's doing everything he can to get thrown out of Boston and go to New York.
I'm in full agreement.
I still don't think Durant's going to New York, but
I'm going to hold out judgment on that. I really, listen. Obviously Golden State, I think, is favored to probably get their third, but to Durant,
maybe
this is a shout out actually right to Kevin Durant. Kevin, if you're listening right now. I mean, what other? If you win 3 in a row, you're Finals MVP. You're considered one of the greatest basketball players, right?
I don't know.
What do you need on your resume?
I don't know.
What if you brought a championship to the world's most famous arena in 3? I'm not saying he shows up and they win it, but that is a significant thing to your legacy.
Okay, but we're trying to tie this to Messier winning the Rangers, it's a Stanley Cup. The Lakers are more prominent in the NBA than the New York Knickerbockers are. I mean,
sure, but let's face reality. The New York Knicks are. I mean, 20,000 people go to these games for the last 20 years of watching utter
garbage
crap.
I get it.
Ridiculous.
And listen, just before we wrap up on the NBA, we touched on this in the show. You know what? Sitting so close to the fans, I'm glad somebody barked at this guy James Dolan, because this guy, I should have said, "Here's my cable bill, you bum." Get out of Dodge.
Sell the team. Why, you taking offense to that, Mr. Dolan?
Yeah. That I liked. It wasn't confrontational. It wasn't vulgar. It was nothing but he deserves every bit of criticism from you said 20,000 people paid their hard-earned money to watch that garbage for 20 years.
So I actually listened. Dolan was on with Michael Kay yesterday. And Dolan's trying to defend himself and this, that, and the other thing.
Indefensible.
Listen, he owns the team. He wants to win. I'm conflicted on James Dolan. Listen, I'm a Cablevision subscriber, and it kills me every freaking month to write that
we're
check.
paying for these animals.
It kills me to write this check. Believe me. Okay.
All right.
However, I think he wants to win. He tried with Phil Jackson. Listen, I drank the Kool-Aid.
I knew that was a Jim Jones thing.
But holy Christ, I mean, how ridiculous was Phil Jackson when he came to
he couldn't give a damn about coaching that team.
But it was so bad, I can't even believe it. So my point is I can't fault Dolan for hiring a guy who just won 10 freaking championships.
Right, but that was 4 years out of 20 that he's been running the show.
I get it.
He's done nothing.
No, I get it. So I'm not defending Dolan.
Please don't, because it's indefensible.
I'm not. So I don't even know where we're going.
All right. So listen, we covered the gamut here, but this is our shout-out segment, and I'll turn it over to my brother Steve. Give a shout-out to some more of our fans.
Absolutely. So I'd like the number one shout-out is to Mr. Ted Giandana. Ted, if you are listening, a.k.a. Teddy G. Ted has turned 55 years young today.
Good goodness.
Happy birthday, Mr. Giandana. Thank you for listening to the show, and we appreciate your support.
And nobody made a better veal dinner than your father, by the way.
Absolutely. Or Steak Diane. We'll talk about that later. Email us at sportswithmono@gmail if you want the Steak Diane recipe. Our next shout-out goes to one of our sponsors, Di Filippi's Bakery. So the next two shout-outs are, all kidding aside. The owner of Di Filippi's Bakery is Carmela. and her mom has been ill for the last couple weeks. And good news is she's getting out of the hospital today. So we wanted to say a shout out to Mary D. Filippi's.
Speedy recovery.
Speedy recovery. We hope you get better and all is well. And then more on a personal note. So this is for our brother, right? So for the record, Sports with Mono and Mono, we are 7 strong children. And our oldest brother, Kenneth, just had a little prostate surgery this week, and he got released, I think, from the hospital today.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. He's a tough old bird. But anyway, we wanted to shout out to him. We hope you feel better, and also, let's be aware. I'm 54, and what are you? 28.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So I look 28.
Right. So anybody kind of over the 50 mark, right, should get your prostate checked. So we just wanted to bring awareness to that. And we wanted to thank our sponsors, of course, and I'll let Jim thank our sponsors.
Well, of course, they've been with us all along. Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. Harley Davidson of Utica. They've been loyal supporters of us, and we thank them for their support. And listen, before we close out, we also want to mention, Steve mentioned Ted, and also mentioned Anthony Dellarina, Esquire.
Yes.
Very loyal listener to us as well, and we appreciate his support.
And we look forward to attending a Rutgers football game with our dear friend Anthony Dellarina.
Yes, I apparently just got an Evite, and I'm in.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Ted, and thanks to everybody in our audience and so forth. And it was a busy week, and we got a lot more stuff coming up next week, and look forward to you joining us. So
and there's one other thing too is we, as we're getting our feet wet and under the ground. So please go to SoundCloud or YouTube, and you can follow the show. Okay, so if you download SoundCloud, right, look for Sports with Mono and Mono, and you'll be prompted then. So you'll get a notification when the show is posted, things like that. And we'd love to start the interaction with the audience. So
and same thing with YouTube. Just go to YouTube, do a search for Sports with Mono and Mono,
right,
and boom, you'll come up.
Right.
You'll see the show.
And then social media is coming next. Is in the next wave of getting our following going,
and there's going to be some video coming up actually, so you'll get to see our mugs in person and online. Which, I don't know if that's a good thing.
We need some haircuts and a little shave job before.
We certainly shall save, and we'll be dapperly dressed.
We're St. Joe's guys, so there may be some ties in the picture. So, but everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you on the next show.
Okay, guys, be good.
Bye.